Just making sure that the stream is up and in the right place. Yes, looks like we're live now on the Indiesphere. Just gonna mute the stream. I want to keep it open so I always got access to the chat and everything. Alright, got all my windows set up. Hello! Welcome! Thank you for joining me tonight on the Science Wizard Comics Indiesphere. This is a little 1 hour podcast I like to do once a week every Friday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I just want to talk about indie comic books. What's out there, talk to some of the people, like the guests that I have on today, about their comics. What are they about? What are their goals? What are they looking to accomplish? What are the stories about? And hopefully we can get a little bit of traffic there, get a little bit of sales going, and just build up indie comics in general, because that's what we're passionate about here on the Indiesphere, and that's what we care about. It kind of reminds me just now of the Ray Zielinski from Tommy Boy. I don't know if you've seen that movie. It's an old one with Chris Farley, and it was Ray Zielinski played by oh shoot, I can't remember his name for the life of me right now. The guy who sells the vodka. Ghostbusters.
Not David Spade, right?
No, not David Spade. But he talks like this. I sell car parts for the American working man because that's what I am, and that's what I care about.
I can't remember his name. the name's escaping me right now.
Dan Aykroyd. That was it.
Okay, there we go.
But that's kind of like what it is here on the Indiesphere. I sell comic books for the independent working man because that's what I am and that's what I care about.
Hard-working individuals, just like us.
Just like us. And the hard-working individual that I have on the stream with me today is a man known only by the mysterious name of Boogiebot, with his comic book graphic novel, Robert. So say hello, Boogiebot.
Hey, howdy, hey, everybody. It's good to be here.
Yeah, and thank you for coming on. I've been trying to get guests on the stream fairly regularly. Most of the time I forget to book people, or I leave it too late till the last minute, so we just kind of do a little bit of a indie comics sort of roundup for the most part. And I think, I think because it usually does take people a little bit to kind of trickle in to the stream, maybe we'll start with that before we really delve into Robert.
Sounds good.
Yeah, because I'm a firm believer of that phrase, "A rising tide lifts all boats." I wanna show some of the boats that have been risen, show some of the comics that I've gotten in the mail and whatnot, and see where we go. And also, actually, someone else from the Science Wizard crew has just joined in on the stream as well. And that is Narwhal, or Unvarnished Void, if you know her from Twitter. How you doing, Narwhal?
Good. Hi.
Hey, good of you to join us. It's nice. It's the first time we've gotten you on the stream, too, so I'm excited about that.
Well, I usually, have a radio show I do today, and then I'm like, that's too much. On Friday, that's, 2 things. But I don't know, today I was like, I'm gonna join.
Yeah!
What's going on?
Fantastic. I love it. And I'm also rocking some of the Science Wizard merchandise that we have up on the TeePublic store. This is a brand new design that I just made with all 3 of the big Science Wizard comic characters. We got Smackin, Kraken's Chicken Warrior at the top there. We got Troy's Wanpool and Pineapple Pizza Man from myself and Theron Kerr. So that's up on the TeePublic store. The link is in the description, so check that out if you like it. We've got other stuff like Science Wizard logo. We've got the Pineapple Pizza Man Ghostbusters kind of parody pillow, and that you can get that on a t-shirt and what have you. So check out our merch. We'd really appreciate it if you checked it out. All that stuff goes towards our comic book campaigns, Wanpool, which is in fulfillment right now. So shipping costs, gotta deal with those. So
Those dang shipping costs.
those dang shipping costs. I hear you, but you know, it's part of the gig. We're all kind of we all kind of learn that. You know, it's not easy at first. This is our first go round with Wampool, our very first book. So you know, we've had a few stumbling blocks along the way. Anybody that's followed the Indiesphere or has followed Science Comics on Twitter, that's at Science Comics, are probably well aware of the mishaps and misfortune that we've dealt with leading up to the release of Wampool. But we've also got some exciting news regarding Wampool. We have been working diligently at setting up some additional areas where people can buy the book. Obviously, we're not going to be, making those areas available until after the campaign is fulfilled. But it's going to have the regular cover. The prints, the proofs are right here. They're all ready and set up and ready to go for issues 1 and 2. So you see that? They're slightly different from the Indiegogo release, which had the sort of like the half face with the mask, and then you had like sort of the purple glow.
I love that.
In the
I love that cover.
Isn't it great? I love Troy's work. You know,
I really like his art. Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It pops. It pops so nicely. It
does.
It really jumps off the page. It's vibrant. It's colorful. It's the perfect kind of look you want for a comic book cover. You know, it really just makes you want to just like pick it up off the shelf if you see it there. You're just like, wow, that's colorful. That is eye-catching. I want to see what that's about. So we're looking into 2 places right now to set up some online areas for print on demand that we're going to release after we've gotten all the books out to the backers. So that's going to be one through Kablam and Indie Planet, and the other one hopefully through Amazon. But we haven't quite worked out that area yet for Amazon. We've got all the Indie Planet stuff worked out and pretty much ready to go. Amazon we're still working on. So that's some of the good news for Wampool. The other good news for Wampool is that fulfillment is commencing, it is ongoing, and it's going well. It's a little slow, slower than I'd like. I'm only getting out about 30 books a week, roughly, right now. But we're slightly over a quarter of the way through all of the fulfillment. So, slow but steady, wins the race. At least that's the hope.
I got my comics today, and I posted about that.
That's right. You just got your comics today.
Yeah. And I love the little narwhal that was drawn on the package. And I had if people that missed out on the campaign, I feel like they really missed out because we had so many good things. I got all the little art prints and the tokens. I absolutely love the tokens.
Yeah, the poker chips.
Yeah, the little poker chips, and then the cards and the little button too. So there was a lot of stuff. I feel like, and I haven't read it yet, and I haven't read Wampool at all, so I didn't even read the online thing.
So it's fresh.
I've only seen so it'll be nice and fresh. I've only read little bits, to see what it's about and everything. So, but I haven't I didn't even read the online thing because I was waiting to get the physical copies, and that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. And I'll probably post a review when I finish issues 1 and 2 on my Twitter as well.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I love seeing reviews of the books. I'm sure you can relate to that, Boogie. I don't know if you've gotten books out to people or beta readers or anything like that for Robert yet or anything. Have you?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. For a lot of the times, we usually a lot of the audience that we made, because I was actually part of a smaller indie publisher named Unearthly Comics.
Okay.
I used to be with them for about 5 to 6 years, but more recently, this year, we all kind of decided to kind of split and kind of mostly take a break and kind of each work on our own individual titles, and then once all of those were done, we would probably just come back together and just kind of reform Unearthly Comics into maybe something a little bit better, or just something that has more so completed works. Because before we were only doing single issue stuff every once in a while. We would have a new issue out of we had an anthology series called Atomic Tales, and we would usually pay out of pocket to get those comics printed, and then we would circle around to like different conventions to kind of like sell them at like either local conventions or conventions that asked us like, hey, would you like guys like to come out and like just kind of talk up like the panels and stuff like that. So it was always mostly like more physical interactions with people
Right.
where they would come back like the second time at the convention and say, oh hey, is issue 2 out, or it's always nice to kind of get that kind of like take on like what people would like to see in like the book,
Mm.
or to kind of see what they would want in like maybe in issue 2, because we would get that more genuine reaction out of them and kind of see like what they actually would like for like an issue 2 or an issue 3.
Mm. And that is one nice thing about doing all that stuff in person with conventions and whatnot that is slightly lost when you move into the digital sphere with online crowdfunding and promotion, because there's not quite as much of that one-on-one personal touch, I feel. But
Exactly.
I mean, you still get quite a bit, like with chats and interaction on Twitter, but I think anybody who's anybody will definitely agree that there is a distinct difference between any of that online and in person. And I think it always feels more meaningful for people in person as well. Plus, like you always have, if you're selling a book in person, you can just sign it right away, and that'll give that little extra personal touch to it that I'm sure people appreciate. I try to do that a little bit. Like if I'm familiar with people who I know online, like Narwhal here. Like how I drew a little Narwhal on her Gemini mailer. I did a similar thing with Tim Lim, or sorry, Tim Lim. I hope I'm not just like spacing on his name and I said the wrong name. I'm terrible. But I did the same thing for him. I drew a little picture with his character and the character I gave to him for his comic series. Sporkman. I drew a little picture of Juan and Sporkman. I like putting those little personal touches. It's a little extra time and whatnot, but and it's small, but I think people appreciate them, and I think that leaves a lasting impression.
Yeah, because like it might be something small that like the person might not think about like in the moment, but it's those little touches that you kind of put on like the books, or like even if there's like a signature, like you'll make like a little doodle or something, or like a lot of the times whenever we were at those conventions, we had like free stickers and like buttons, and a lot of the times we would like just give them out for free. And like just those little tiny added touches just kind of it makes it more like, yeah, it would, like just like you said, like it leaves more of an impression where people kind of go, oh well, that's nice. You get to see that one-on-one sort of like when you're on Twitter or like Instagram, you kind of lose a little bit of like kind of like who the artist and writer are. So like you maybe you lose a little bit of the connection. So when you're kind of like in person, or when they see those little added touches, like a little drawing, on there, it brings them back to like, oh well, it brings them back for wanting like maybe more in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, and I do hope that things like that do start to help us build a solid rapport and relationship with the customers, the consumers, the fans, everybody that we interact with. And now that we're starting to get books out to people, it's a great feeling. I really, really love it. I love seeing people posting the pictures online of Wampool. We had a good friend of the channel, Humble Marty. She did a unboxing video. And just like Narwhal was saying, like a lot of people are like digging the merch. They're really enjoying what we sent them. It's arriving in good condition. We haven't had any issues so far with damaged books or product or anything. So it's been really great on that end. I just wish that we're able to do it faster. That's my only issue.
Yeah, speed is always the issue when it comes to like fulfilling.
Yeah, especially when you're doing it yourself, like I am. I'm definitely learning that. It takes a while. Like, to send out those like 30 books. I'll be at it for like 4 hours dealing with that stuff, because the the post office, like the site that they give you, and like the like because you get like these printers, these thermal printers to print out the stickers to put on the package, and they have like a particular size for the information that you need to put on there on the sticker. You know where it's supposed to go, and then they give you double the amount of information. They give you this whole half extra that you got to cut off in Photoshop and then recrop everything and scale it to fit and then print it. So it's a whole mess. Like I have to have like 6 windows open to like get everything ready, and then it's crazy, but it's
And especially for media mail too, like that's like the trouble. Like once you get the hang of it, like you're set for pretty much everybody else's. Like after that first like hurdle you got to take.
Yeah, absolutely. It's also a little frustrating just because it's so confusing, like how this stuff is priced. Like I don't get it. If I send something, because I'm operating out of Ontario, and if I send something somewhere else in Ontario, it's $2 more at minimum. $2 more anywhere in Canada, even just in my own province, than if I was to send it anywhere else in America or Mexico. Mexico and America are cheaper than Canada. Like,
like for some, I guess maybe some sort of like convenience fee probably, but like it's always weird whenever those like specific like numbers start popping up. You're like, whoa, this is
right?
like only like 3 miles out from where I live. It's like I technically can go drive it, but I'm here, like because they paid for shipping, and it's like, why is it $2 more? That's weird.
Yeah, it's super bizarre. It's basically like for Mexico and United States, at least so far. I mean, I haven't checked like some of the other stuff. A lot of my international stuff I haven't touched just yet. But like it's a flat rate. Anywhere in the United States, anywhere in Mexico, no matter how much the the Gemini comic mailers end up weighing with like whatever I pack inside of it, flat rate. Canada, it's like all over the place. It's like between like like it's between like $2 and like $6 more wherever I end up sending it. Super bizarre. And I just, it's the one thing about fulfillment that's been like bugging the heck out of me, because it just makes no sense to me. I'm just like, you're shipping to your own country. Like there's no, border crossings of any kind. Like, why is it more expensive? Boggles the mind.
Oh, well, I gotta tell you, man. Like it's gonna be like I think it's gonna be like it's gonna give me a headache whenever I start fulfilling like for Robert, because a lot of the people like the kind of like the fans that I've kind of like created from Robert, a good chunk of them are coming from Australia and the UK.
I feel like
and
I feel like the science fiction like steampunk aesthetic especially is definitely more popular in those areas, I think.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like the steampunk sort of aesthetic. I know from one of the guys that I had went on for one of his streams. He specifically is because his art style that he has, he loves steampunk, and he loves that kind of like what was the word, like kind of like Robert Crumb sort of like style. So like when you get to that kind of like aesthetic for like books that you like, I think it's just kind of strange to see like where the audience is for the book, and then it makes me kind of go, well, now I'm gonna have to deal with all the the shipping for Australia and the UK.
Well, speaking of art, you've got some like really nice looking art here on Robert so far. Like, wow, kudos. It's very visceral. It feels that's one thing I really like about it so far. From what I've been seeing, it feels very lived in. Everything feels like it's been used and worn, and it's dirty and rustic. And I can tell that's definitely the aesthetic that you're aiming for. Now, is that something that's really just kind of comes naturally out of your particular art style, or is that something that you've sort of been striving for specifically with the Robert graphic novel?
I think that's something that I've kind of wanted to strive towards for at least for Robert, for the art style, because the story, it takes place after the year 3000. Like it takes place 84 years after the year 3000. So but after the year 3000, this event called Y3K happens, and it basically just wipes out all of Earth's technology, and most of the humans that are living on Earth have to hide in bunkers, and they have to like basically hide away, or like some of like the nuclear like fallout kind of like has killed off a good chunk of the humans, and all the robots that were on Earth were kind of used as like the kind of labor force, like factory bots or warehouse like workers, and like Uber drivers and just things like that. They all went offline, and for about 84 years, they've all they basically restarted, and they don't have any purpose anymore. So their main purpose now is to kind of like learn and create personalities for themselves off
Mhm.
of like TV shows, movies, like books, like novels that they're reading, and but they're not keeping themselves clean. So it's in this kind of post-apocalyptic sort of world. So everything's gotta not be untouched. Everything has to have some sort of like rust or some sort of like dirt quality to it.
Mhm. Yeah, looks
That's
like you
really
got.
cool. I like that idea that the robots like learning and creating personalities for themselves. I don't think I've like really seen that done before, really. Besides, like, the only thing that comes to mind is iRobot, and that wasn't like really that.
It was like
Mhm.
one. That was like one
But
robot who sort of already was like had developed a personality.
yeah,
It's like
yeah. So
after the fact.
that's not quite the same. It's like the first thing that popped into mind, but like. I like. It seems like you're exploring that a lot more, where the robots are kind of like making making a bit of choices on their personalities or
Mhm.
something, or trying to develop that. And I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah, because like with that sort of that's kind of the aesthetic that I'm wanting to go for, where it's kind of like because for a lot of artists like us, we kind of create these personalities like off of like the video games we play, like the movies. We create like our own like art styles off of like particular artists that we like. Um, and for these robots, they basically they restart without that kind of baseline purpose in their heads. If they were a warehouse worker, when Y3K happens,
Warehouse is gone.
yeah, like that purpose is now gone, but they wake up with their cognitive functions, so they can still read and write, but they don't have any purpose. So that's why they end up reading and looking at all these like old movies and reading books, to kind of gain some sort of personality, like they're doing the same as kind of we do, but it's mostly the robots that are having to kind of like learn and like basically relearn and be what they're kind of wanting to be now in this new kind of like post-apocalyptic world.
Mm-hmm. Discovering their own purpose as opposed to being told.
Exactly.
So tell us about Robert in particular, because that's the namesake of this book. What's his story about, and where is this book taking us? Without too many spoilers, obviously.
So without too many spoilers, Robert is the main title character. He's the character that he'll be the character that we're kind of we're the that he's the audience. We're kind of living in his shoes, where he's seeing this whole world for the first time. Like when these two characters, Charles and Eastwood, when they find Robert, they put him back together, and he becomes part of their little like gang of misfits.
Mm.
And we're kind of seeing the world, like the new world, through his eyes. And throughout the book, we kind of get a little glimpse of like where he came from.
Mm.
But throughout this book, he's gonna be like he's the audience. We're basically in his shoes to kind of like we're in for the ride,
So
along with Robert.
okay, so Robert is like that's why you call him the bot out of time, because he's the most recently awoken robot, and most of the other robots have been awake for quite a while, and they've had some time to sort of establish their personalities. But Robert, I suppose, is fresh off the boot, the reboot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You like that? I
Like off the booting.
Yeah, it sounds cool, man. It sounds rad, and I love the inking. You got a very it's a very kind of it looks like you're doing a lot of hatching and screen tones too.
Oh yeah, I got it inspired a lot from like one of my friends. He loves like manga a lot, and I know with a lot of manga, they usually tend to use like screen tones, and
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure with this book, I think the screen tones that I'm using for the characters, it kind of gives it that kind of more so like rugged sort of like look, because like a lot of the colors that I'm using are kind of bright, but then also I'm using a lot of like different brush strokes, so I think the screen tones kind of like kind of accent the colors to kind of like make the colors like pop a little bit more in like the specific places. Like instead of like using like a darker color in specific places, the screen tones kind of like act as like that shader.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a really attractive style. Like it definitely draws you in. I've been experimenting a lot with screen tone stuff with Pineapple Pizza Man as well, as I'm gearing up for that. So
And I've been liking the Pineapple Pizza Man stuff on
thank
Twitter
you.
recently.
Thank you, man. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's funny because my roughs kind of range from like barely a doodle to like damn near finished piece of work because of all the like the kind of experimentation I'm doing. You know, I'm experimenting with like speed lines and and different like depth of field effects and different brushes and screen tones and all that stuff because I've also had a lot of inspiration from manga. I always found it to be a very kinetic kind of style, especially with the way they do
Kind of like
action.
fluid, yeah, kind of like fluid movements and like
Mhm.
in the line work and like brush strokes that they use.
Yeah, like there's no mistaking what's going on with the action. Like they
Hmm.
paint it so clearly that I really am hoping to try and invoke a lot of that with the action that takes place in Pineapple Pizza Man. It's gonna be a fun book, man. I'm excited. It started off like it was supposed to be like 22 pages, and then as I started like doing the rewrites for it, because Theron he starts the writing, and then I edit it, and then we kind of go back and forth until we kind of got a like a finished script. And it usually takes about 2 or 3 back and forths with me and him,
Hmm.
and then I'll go into the drawing. And a lot of the times when I'm doing the edits, because I'm also doing the art for the book, I'm kind of like trying to picture in my head how that will be laid out. And a lot of the times, like I'll be like, oh no, there's too many panels. I need to like really like just focus in on this one thing. Like, so the art kind of like um, inspires the pacing of the writing, which inspires the pacing of the art. Do you find that there's like a really like symbiotic relationship with that for you and Robert, since you do the writing and the art as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. So like, because before Robert was originally going to be maybe like a 40-page graphic novel.
Mm-hmm.
That was the original intention, but as I was drawing some of the pages and some of the layouts, I kind of some of the story that I did, because I write the story on paper first, and then I translate it to like thumbnails, and then I go in to do like the rough pencils. But there's times where I kind of think like, well, okay, there needs to be another page added in between
Mm-hmm.
page 41 and 42. So then that makes it okay. Well, now it's like 42 pages, and then it's like, well, now that makes it like 46 pages, and then it's like, oh well, there should have been another page at the beginning. I think this would be a nice kind of sweeping shot, or like a double page, like this double page spread would probably be a little bit better in here. And then it's like, okay, well now we're at 50 pages, and then so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So I think for the most part, it's kind of reached the 60 page. And I think for the most part, I think it's going to stay at 60 pages, just because I think for the story's sake, I don't want to try to like go over, but then also not to go under,
Mm-hmm.
like I think that's like the right sweet spot for it.
Yeah, there definitely is a sweet spot. I found that a lot with my Pineapple Pizza Man stuff too. Once I got into the art, because sometimes I had to end up like pushing something onto the next page, which then kind of like because you end up adding a page that pushes everything down. But then you also have like certain areas where it's like you want something to be on the page turn. It's like you want it to be like turn the page and then reveal. And that's
Mhm.
that's important for the pacing when you're thinking about dealing with comic books. So but then like if you have something like a double page spread, you have to make sure that ends up that lands on that double page. You can't
Oh
like
yeah.
split that up like accidentally. It's like, oh, you got one on this side and one on that side. It's like, ah, crap. So then when you end up having to think like, oh, geez, well, I moved that over. Now I got to add a page somewhere. Is there anywhere where that would be appropriate, or would that kill the pacing? You know, do I cut or do I add? You know, there's
Exactly.
it's quite a balance. It's quite a balance. And then this is my first time drawing a comic book. This is my absolute first comic ever. So I'm really trying to be careful with that. You know, I'm doing a lot of extra steps that I don't think I normally would with like most other people's comics. Like I didn't do that kind of stuff with Wampool or anything. You know, Troy already had those. Like that's his baby. But with Pineapple Pizza Man being my baby, like I'm taking all these extra steps that most people would probably think are like not at all like necessary. But I'm just like I need to be sure.
Finished result.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we're doing you know, we started off at 22 pages, and then it ballooned into like 42. You know, and so you know, what was once a single issue is now a 42-page double wide issue. So I'm excited about that. But you know, I think it also gives people a little that added value. You know, they're going to get more action. You know, they're going to get more character development, and they're going to be able to spend more time with the character, fall in love with them, and hopefully, you know, enjoying the experience along the way.
Yeah, and I think that's what matters in the end, is just like if they have a much better experience after, you know, like when you think like the story is already like as good as it can be and they enjoy it, you know, I think that's like the more like freeing feeling after.
Yeah. So anybody, if there's anybody watching right now, and if you're, you know, into the science fiction, if you're into the steampunk future western aesthetic, you like the art, you like the guy, if you're smelling what he's selling, then definitely go to Indiegogo.com, check out Robert the graphic novel. The link is also in the description below. And also, where can people find you, Boogiebot? Shouldn't be too hard on Twitter.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much you can find me at Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and Parler. I'm on my name is just at Boogiebot Comics. You can find me at pretty much any platform that's out there.
Right on. So how long have you been associated with or familiarized with the recent independent comic book kind of community that's sort of sprung up over the last couple of years?
I think for the most part, I've kind of been like embedded for the most part, just because I followed a lot of like the indie guys. Like whenever they started like heading over to like Indiegogo and with a lot of these other campaigns, because I was still with Unearthly Comics for the most part, and we always kind of like, because you have to kind of learn how to like adapt sometimes and kind of go like, okay, well, what's the next thing that we can do like as like indie guys, you know, like how can we reach a bigger audience, or how can we get to like more people's hands, you know, like how can we get these books into more people's hands. So I think for the most part, I've kind of been in the comic scene for a little while, like the indie scene, but I think right now is the time that I've just kind of decided like, well, I think I'm gonna kind of put my money where my mouth is and just start the Indiegogo that I've been wanting to do for a while for Robert, at least to kind of get this book under my belt, to kind of be like, okay, this is the, like, for what people are gonna know me as like, oh, okay, he did Robert, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's a pretty good looking book, man. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I haven't backed it myself just yet, but as you know, and I think as most people know, money's been a little tight.
More so recently, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been able to back nearly as much books as I wanted to. There's a lot of good looking stuff out there right now, man. A lot of good looking stuff. There are a few that I have been able to back. I mean, this was before I really started getting into fulfillment, but one of my favorites, a close personal friend of mine from Cody Fernandez, is Jack Irons, Steel Cowboy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely excited for that.
Yeah, man, and it's a great series. I've already read issues 1 through 3. I was part of his one of his beta readers, so it's really great. It definitely, you know, picks up the pace with the action, especially from issue 2. I don't know if you got issue 1 and 2 with the last campaign or not, but
I actually got into it like very late because I mostly knew Jack Irons just through Twitter because we always do a lot of like interactions on Twitter. I think this past year, towards like I guess the beginning of this year or like last year, and I got the whole like the 3-issue bundle, so I'm still waiting
Nice.
on getting like the 3 issues. Like, and I'm hoping I guess like he's doing the fulfillment soon because I guess he's talking to the printers for issue 3.
Yeah.
So crossing fingers that comes in pretty soon because I've been excited for that for a little while.
Yeah, I think what the situation there is, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I think what the situation there was that I think for a previous campaign, you know, because he got picked up by Wicked Publishing, and and Wicked was the one that was, you know, kind of handling the printing and fulfillment, I think. And I think now, I guess he's probably like adjusted some of their agreement in some way so that Cody's actually handling the fulfillment and the printing himself now. Yeah, and I think that's why he's probably been talking about the different printers and whatnot and trying to get that advice going. But yeah, I think he's definitely in the right direction there. I think he knows what he's doing. And you know, he's definitely a solid guy. He will get that book out to people, and it'll definitely definitely be faster than that than the last time too. So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring up Jack is because the aesthetic of Robert like instantly kind of made me think of Jack Irons because they're both like futuristic westerns, gritty kind of stuff, and you know, very unique.
I think that's how we actually ended up like chatting more on Twitter was because of that little interaction.
Yeah, I think so because I automatically thought as soon as I saw Robert, and I'm just like futuristic western on Jack Irons. When's the crossover, boys? I love that though. You know, back in the day, you know, me and a bunch of the friends in the indie comic circle that I ran with. You know, we were all gung-ho and talking about doing like this big crossover one day. So hopefully someday we'll get some more indie comics crossovers. There's been a couple so far that I've seen. There's that Monster Hunt comic that what was it? It's Matt Weldon is doing with I think they got Bigfoot Bill and what was it? The guy Mike Abacus Mike. What was the guy's name?
Mike. Well, he did Lone Star. I forgot.
Lone Star. That was the name of the character. Yeah. So there was those two, and then there was another crossover with Bigfoot Bill that was planned and I guess in the works with Detective Dead too. And then there's of course Shinobi Sasquatch and Monster MD.
Oh, with Monster. Yeah, with Monster MD. Yeah, that's the Monster MD. I'm really excited for just because like I'm more of a fan of like a lot of like comic books that don't necessarily that don't feel they have to do the kind of realistic look of like I guess kind of like the like mainstream look or like in-house style for like Marvel or DC.
Right.
I kind of like it when these artists kind of like take risks and like it can look cartoony, you know, it can look more so like animation wise, you know, like it doesn't necessarily have to be realistic to look good. It has to be like the artwork just has to be, you know, like it has to at least grab you, you know, like for wanting to read it. And I think Monster MD is actually really, really good at that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I really like the style. I mean, I can definitely relate. I think with Pineapple Pizza Man, like he kind of exists in like an ordinary, almost human world. He's got like a human ward / sidekick Canadian bacon boy, and you know he got adopted into like a human family, but he's just like this super bizarre like anthropomorphic slice of pineapple pizza with a pineapple for a head, and that, you know, it's we had so much fun with the book, and I've been doing the lettering for it actually ahead of the actual inking and coloring, so that I could share that with the team and make sure it's all flowing and working right. And Unvarnished here has been really enjoying it. She's been kind of my principal beta reader essentially. Because she hadn't really read the script, I don't think, so it's all kind of like fresh for her eyes with all the art in tail. So
I'll say like one of my favorite things is like Pineapple Pizza Man's like expressions in the different panels, and I love seeing like that, like so much. Like you'll have like it's like I don't even need the dialogue bubbles. There's just so much expression,
Oh.
and I love like going from one panel to another and seeing his expressions for things.
Well, I think that definitely comes from my background as a character animator, because that's what my day job is. Like, I animate characters for cartoons, you know? I'm actually doing like one for... I'm actually working on a feature film right now with that, so... But, so, I mean...
That's really sweet, actually.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a job.
Yeah, you know, it's okay. You know, animation for a movie, it's nothing. You know?
I don't know if my name ever shows up in the credits or not of these things. There's always so much red tape around that stuff, but you know, it's going all right, and I think that definitely gives me a good sense of, like, you know, expression and you know, showing that off in a character without needing too much dialogue, especially like if you ever had to deal with school in animation, like if you ever had to go to animation school, like I don't know what it is with like the teachers and the students that end up in animation school, they hate dialogue. Hate it. I don't get it, man. I went into animation and I'm just like, I love dialogue, man. I love having two characters like talk to each other and having like these different personalities, like, you know, and how those interplay on each other. And you get to animation school and everybody just wants to do like a music track and just like no like dialogue, no human sounds of any kind whatsoever. Just action. Tell the story solely through the action. And then like it always bothered me because you get you get like at the end of the year or something like that, or the end of the, you know, the 4 years or however long you know the school term is, you'll get everybody doing their thesis films or something, or you'll get everybody doing like for various festivals or something. Sometimes they get involved in that. I got involved with one of those too, and we were doing a I think it was the Toronto Animation Arts Festival International. Yeah, I think that was it. TAAFI, T-A-A-F-I. And we did a short film. It was supposed to be like, was it like 2 minutes or something like that? Not even. But it was very short. You know, we had like, no, I think it was only supposed to be like 20 seconds or something like that. Like really, really short. But like almost every other film that you saw, it was like 2 to 3 shots, you know, no dialogue. And so, you know, you get film after film after film after film like that, and then you get one that actually has dialogue. It really stands out, man. And
that's so incredibly true.
yeah, and we were at this film festival, right? And we got to, you know, show our films there, and all the different schools, you know, showed their films. And I was directing mine and writing it, so, you know, I had a pretty good idea. And there's all like 1 to 3 shots, you know, rather like static, you know, 1 shot, 2 to 3 shots at the very most, and like 2 or 3 characters tops, you know. And I think we had 4 characters, 12 shots, 12 shots for the 20-second clip. And dialogue. Like, we were the only ones with dialogue out of the entire thing. And we got the biggest reaction, too. I don't know, man. I don't think it was
because everybody's just like, oh my god, they're talking in this one.
I think it's more like, oh, finally, not another pretentious... oh, these artsy-fartsy pretentious animation students. Oh, give me something a little more... just down to earth, right?
Yeah, because I graduated from animation school this past semester, and from all, thank you, but like for the most part, all of the animators that I've seen in the class, like so many of them are super talented. Like just like it's amazing to see all what these people can do, but it astonished me how almost none of them like could make like they can animate anything like fluently. They can model specific characters, because we were usually using like Maya and Blender to make a lot of like the models like for 3D animation, and all these guys can do pretty much anything in Maya or Blender, like create and like animate, but none of them knew how to write a story or tell a story. Like
Yeah.
they always had to be told, like, okay, well, what is our prompt, or like, oh, what are we animating, you know? Like none of them could create a scene or like create dialogue for that scene. It was always, they always had to either get somebody else or a friend or maybe somebody from like a theater group that they knew to like create the dialogue for them. And then they would, granted, like their animations were always nice, but they always said, you know, oh, we can't make stories for anything for anything.
Oh, hey, just want to interrupt real quick. Monkey Platts is in the chat here, and he says, "Hi, can I ask something?" Monkey Platts, please ask away. Whatever you have to ask, I would be happy to answer, or I'm sure Boogiebot would like to as well. So just, throw the question up in the chat, and we'll get to it when we can. Anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. I thought it was really funny that you brought that up because I found a very similar thing in my animation school experience. Like, not a lot of people had any interest, like any experience. A lot of them didn't really have any interest in writing stories or telling stories or anything but stories. And there's a lot of like gaps in animation schools, I think, that I think should be taught but aren't. Script writing, for one, definitely should be taught. Because, once you get into, the industry, especially if you're, you end up climbing the ladder and you actually have to start dealing with scripts, there is a format for that with television and film and whatnot. And, you're going to want to get familiarized with that. And the other thing, too, is audio design, almost like nothing was touched upon with audio design. We even had, like, an audio recording room in our school, but
completely untouched.
Virtually untouched. Nobody knew how to use the equipment in there, because it wasn't taught, and there were no classes regarding audio design, audio recording, none of it. There were no script writing classes. There were acting classes, which was odd as well because everyone was like either encouraged to or fearfully stayed away from any dialogue. So there was a lot of gaps and loophole and potholes there that really threw people for a loop. And because I actually went through for media arts, which did have audio design and which did cover script writing, I didn't think that my time in media arts would make that much of a difference when I moved to animation, but it was actually a huge leg up for me from a lot of people because there were, like, I had those gaps filled in that other people didn't. So, they would end up stumbling on these potholes, and I was just like, just skipping over them.
Just kind of raise your hand, like, I know how to edit audio.
Yeah.
And then everybody would kind of look over and be like, "Oh my God, you're a godsend,"
Well,
like, does nobody else here know audio? Like, at least to put music or dialogue or anything?
I wish it was like that, but unfortunately, I wasn't part of the cool kids club. So I'm
weird to think about though, like the stuff I would not have. Obviously, I didn't go to school for that, so this stuff I would not have thought about at all. I went to college for graphic design, and I took all the art classes and everything that you could possibly take for graphic design, and then like only boring classes were left, and then like I just didn't go back to college. So I didn't actually graduate.
Honestly, I can relate to that because we had like. Because we always have to do like general elective courses as well. You've got your regular animation stuff, and then it's like, oh, but you also have to have these like 5 elective courses that you have to fill out throughout the 4 years. And almost always they had nothing to do with what you're learning or with anything really. It's just nonsense. They're completely garbage throwaway classes.
I needed more advanced math, but like there was like you need, for graphic design, you definitely need math, right? But there's like a point where don't need this math.
Right. Like I
You
would.
know, I need this map and not this map.
Like I could understand if there was something like, you know, oh, like business finances, you know, a basic introduction to business finances. That's pretty much useful for any field. Like you can weave that into virtually anything. You know, or if there were any additional art-based classes that I could take in these general electives, you know, or story stuff like to fill in those plot holes, or audio design stuff to fill in those potholes that the animation students have. If there was stuff like that, you know, I could understand. And I had to kind of weave. I had to kind of bullshit a little bit to get at least one class that I wanted. You know, there was one class they had in the electives, but it didn't quite match up to what I needed to graduate. So I went in and I asked them, and I was just like, oh, can I take this one, you know, in place of this class, you know, and have that count towards my general electives? And they were just like, yes, you can. And so I was like, all right, great. Then I went and did the class, you know, and then graduation time comes around, and they're just like, oh, no, you can't graduate because you don't have the right elective. And I'm just like, all right, here we go again. I'm going to have to go Karen on their asses. I hate having to go Karen, but I will use that ability when it suits me, when I need to.
Well, and especially whenever they try to like keep you going like longer, you know, where they're like, "Oh, well, you still need this," and it's like, "Well, no, not exactly," because when I came here, you know, like because a lot of the times they'll add like classes because like you know they're always adding classes to like different degree programs
Yeah.
because like in especially like in the field of animation, you're always having to advance your craft somehow because like animation's always advancing to some level of degree. You know, like because there's always something you're always going to have to learn or relearn because something is either getting easier or because something is a little harder that you have to kind of like do again, you know, because they're like for a lot of like the 2D animators from Disney, when Disney made the complete change to like 3D animation, so many of those 2D animators were just completely out the door because they either couldn't advance or they couldn't make the leap into 3D animation,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, but I think for the most part, like a lot of that training does end up happening like on the job too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think in animation, like you know, you kind of get the basics for the most part, and you just kind of take the principles of animation and just kind of like apply it. Like all you gotta do really is learn the program, and as long as you can apply the principles that you've learned to the program that you use, you know, for whatever job it is, then you should be pretty good for the most part. I can see how some people would have a difficult time transitioning from 2D to 3D, but I mean, it's gotten so much easier, especially like over the years as they've you know, integrated more options for 2D animators to kind of like sink their teeth into it and adapt. You know, like they got like grease pencils and whatnot in Maya and whatnot. So you can.
I think they should go back to some 2D stuff though.
Yes.
Like they did Princess and the Frog, and that movie was beautiful.
I thought the story was pretty boring for the most part in Princess and the Frog.
No, I loved it, and I thought
it.
everything was so pretty. Like, and then the Voodoo Man had his song, and like all that animation was so pretty.
Oh yeah, I mean, animation wise and like visually is gorgeous, but
yeah, that's why I just freaking love that. And I was like, can we have like keep some 3D animation films, but can we please have some more 2D animation films?
Yeah.
Well, I forgot his name, but he did the. I'm gonna get crucified for this because I can't remember his name. But he made the Land Before Time and I forgot his name. Was it Land Before Time and
All Dogs Go to Heaven?
All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Like Dragon's Lair. He's been talking about trying to like open up a new like 2D studio like for making like actual full length animated movies now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's I'm really hoping it doesn't end up being a lost art. But I mean, considering how many people like still do it and still like pursue it, despite the fact that it's not really like viable in that mainstream market. I mean, at least you know they say it's not. I mean, you know, you make a beautiful 2D film, like you can sell that 2D film. Have you guys seen Klaus?
I think so. I think people would still love the 2D animation,
Yeah.
at least what I have seen. And me personally being a consumer in that the Princess Frog or whatever, and just loving that 2D animation.
Yeah.
I think that definitely could sell and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my favorite films last year was Klaus, 2D animated, beautiful, gorgeous film, and you know, it's a good story too. It was fun. It was funny.
Oh,
it's doable.
You know what other like friggin' movies that I love, and this isn't like an American-based like animation, but like The Secret of the Kells.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, The Secret of the Kells. That one's my favorite one by that artist. And then he has like one more, which is The Song of the Sea.
Mhm.
That's my daughter's favorite.
Yeah.
But both of those, like this, maybe like you enjoyed the story on those ones better. But like the stories are beautiful. The animation is absolutely some of the most gorgeous stuff I have ever seen.
Mhm.
It is so. And the style is so pretty to me. Everything's beautiful with that.
Yeah, I think that's in Ireland, actually.
Yeah, I can't remember. I know that it wasn't based in the U.S. I thought it was somewhere in like the UK or something. I couldn't quite remember though. But
yeah.
like, both those are kind of like Irish kind of tales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are actually based in Ireland.
It's really neat to hear about other countries like folklore and kind of stuff with that, and play around with those stories, and then create the animation for it.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing I want to kind of like hopefully do with Pineapple Pizza Man, One Pool, Chicken Warrior, and all that stuff as we move forward is hopefully eventually be able to bring in some of the animation stuff and figure out how to integrate that with the comics in some way. So let's get to the chat, because Monkey Plat's got his questions he wanted to ask. Monkey Plat says, Boogiebot, comics, okay, so Eastwood is the protagonist, yeah? I like his hat, but why does he use it? I don't think the sun bothered him, being a robot and all. Fair point. So let's deal with that question first.
So it's mostly for show, because he models his personality off of Clint Eastwood from A Fistful of Dollars. So a lot of these robots, one of the kind of gangs that we're gonna end up seeing in the story, they call themselves like the Western Bot Gang. So most of the robots from there also model themselves off of like famous cowboys. And with Eastwood, he models himself off of Clint Eastwood, like the man with no name from A Fistful of Dollars, and that's why he ends up getting the name of the bot with no face.
Mm. Also because he has no face.
And that also plays into the story as to why he has no face.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Actually, that does bring up a question from me too. If a lot of these robots are getting their personalities and whatnot from the characters and whatnot that they're seeing in the movies and television and whatnot, I'm saying whatnot a lot, aren't I? So if they're all getting that from these movies and TV shows, are there going to be other robots that have kind of imprinted upon Clint Eastwood? Is he going to ever run across another man with bot with no face or bot with no name and have a bit of a row with them?
Potentially, there's a little bit of there is going to be a little bit of like rivalry, because he used to be part of the Western Bot Gang, and yeah, so that's going to play into a little bit of his story as to kind of why he's with Charles, the human that we're going to be following throughout the book. But there'll also be other factions of robots of different genres, because the main genre of robots that we're going to be looking and kind of reading about is the Western bots, and that's kind of what the aesthetic of the book is going to be. But there will be other genres that will come into play in the book as well.
Nice. Well, I mean, yeah, it's I guess the Y3K doesn't just affect the folks in the West, right? I mean, it's going to be all over, right?
Exactly. It's the whole world, essentially.
Right on. That's cool. He also asked, Monkey Platts also asked, also, do you take any inspiration from the Fallout series?
I took a little bit of the New Vegas, mostly from the kind of aesthetic, because most post-apocalyptic sort of settings kind of look the same. Not that they look generic, but most of them are like desert plains and uh, broken down like decrepit buildings and like broken highways and street signs and uh, not a lot of trees, not a lot of vegetation anywhere.
Mm.
But the main setting of the book is actually going to be in Las Vegas, but then the characters, because they end up getting into they end up having a bounty put onto their heads from the Western Bot gang. So their whole journey in this book is basically a cross-country road trip to get away from the bounty on their heads in Las Vegas.
Mm.
So they end up having to go to Texas.
Okay. Right on. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So, Monkey, I hope that answers your questions. We are at the 1 hour mark. I try to keep these streams fairly short. Don't want to take up too much time from people, and don't want to have too much humming and hawing. But so I think we'll probably start wrapping it up fairly soon. We sort of got a lot off topic, but I think it was fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was definitely fun to actually be on here.
Yeah, thank you. And hopefully we can get you back on a little later. Maybe when we're closer to the end of the Robert Indiegogo campaign. We'll try and drum up a little more business, hopefully. I mean, we're still building up our presence here on the SWC Comics Indiesphere stream. But hey, we're working on it.
Yeah, everything is good in my book. Like pretty much any stream, I'm always open for it, and it's always nice to get like that little sort of like a bump towards the end of this, because I know with like a lot of like Indiegogos, they usually have like the nice little kind of like bump towards like the end of their like either first 30 days or just in general whenever they're about to end, or like when they go into like in demand as well.
Yeah, they always got like that bump at the beginning, the bump at the end, and then kind of like peters out towards the middle a little bit. We actually, we found that with the Wampool campaign, we actually had spikes kind of like all the way through the campaign, which was nice. We had like this big bump at the beginning, and then like kind of sort of up and down all the way along, and then a big bump at the end. But yeah, it was fun. We had it like, it was very, the way we did it, it was very interactive almost. We had some fun stuff where, because we decided like, oh yeah, since we got, what happened there? Oh, nothing, I guess. But we had, since we hit our funding goal on the first day, we're just like, okay, we're gonna add like, this little extra thing on here just for hitting the goal, on the first day, which I think that makes sense. So we got added another print onto it, and then what was it? I think we had like these sort of like target goals to hit throughout, so that if we hit this at this point, we'll add the pin. If we hit this at this point, we'll add this. Like sort of like mini stretch goals, like throughout the campaign. And then we also had like some special commissions that went towards the campaign funds as well, and. What we did is I had all these special commissions where we quantified people's Twitter avatars. So they would send us their avatar, and then I would like turn it into like a Juan Pool inspired version, or a Juan Pool-esque sort of hero, or
I remember those. They were so fun.
yeah, they were a lot of fun.
That's actually really creative.
Right? Yeah. You could probably do something similar with Robert, like robotify people, that'd be fun. And then what we did,
I was thinking a lot of that too, because like there's one of the featured perk, we have the commissions as well as the what's it called, because with the featured perk you get the colored graphic novel, the black and white, an original issue 1, and then a commission. So I think that'd be kind of nice to kind of like give something like to the person who buys the commission, like that featured perk, where it can either be like a robot-sized like sort of version of them, or just like a favorite character that they've seen from the book so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we did a similar.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say something else that we did that people seem to like, because they went kind of fast. I think, if I remember right.
Oh yeah.
Is we had the little Juan Pool plushie.
Yeah. That was your particular contribution to the campaigning.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had these what was it, 3 or 4? I think there was 3.
It was 3 of them.
Yeah, she made these 3 Wanpool logo plushie pillows, and they were really nice, so soft.
That's really cool.
And we added that as a limited time perk, so if people wanted to get the pillow, they could. And yeah, but the way we handled the wanification commissions is I think I was doing $15 for each of them. You know, they're fairly cheap. And then you know, whenever I made enough from one of those commissions, I would auction off, or not auction off, but I would do a what do you call those things? A raffle. I would do a raffle on Twitter, and whoever won the raffle would get a free copy of Wanpool, and that would, you know, be obviously like paid for with the commission funds.
That's actually pretty creative though for that.
Yeah, thank you. And then one of the other things we also did was that the first 25 people got a limited edition Robbie, Gay for Robbie poker chip. That's Wanpool's boyfriend. And then the first 100, and then the first 100 backers got a custom Wanpool poker chip. So there was 2 very limited, like timing specific perks that you know you could only get by being in there early, like getting in on the campaign early. So that was a lot of fun. And then there was one more, which was a custom, which was like a original piece of physical art by Troy for the very first backer. And even though I was like running the campaign and like I'm like, you know, putting this whole show on, I tried so hard to be backer number 1. Because, you know, that's why I, you know, wanted to do that for Troy.
Who won that?
It was Kraken, son of a bitch.
Oh yeah! I wanted that too. That's why I ended up being in the first 25, so I got really cool poker chips, which I loved so much.
I tried so hard.
Dang it.
I don't know how he did it. Because I basically went like, I had like the button ready. I was like, and launch and back. Like immediately. And he still beat me. That was crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fun, creative things you can do with crowdfunding to keep people engaged, you know, to have a lot of fun, to keep it, you know, entertaining and interactive, and, you know, really connect with people and get them excited about, you know, getting in there and getting in early, too. So I think that's just... you know, food for thought, you know, for any people out there who are thinking of starting their own Indiegogo campaign for a comic book that they've been having, you know, running around in their brains for however many years. You know, it can be a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of work. I mean, even when you do have those fun extras and whatnot for people, you know, you still got to make the rounds. You got to talk to people. You got to go on streams. You got to, you know, pump that, you know, that book into people's feeds. You gotta put the links on every single thing that you can possibly think to put them on. You gotta go through Twitter. You gotta go through Facebook. You gotta go through YouTube. You gotta do the rounds, and it is tough. It is tough stuff. It is quite the hustle. I can't tell you how exhausted we were and how happy we were to be done once we were through the campaign. And we were just like, oh my god, oh, no more YouTube, no more streams, no more late nights, no more any of that. We're done. But
until the next campaign.
There it is. Until the next one. And it looks like the next one's going to be Pineapple Pizza Man. That is written by Theron Kurth from Science Wizard Comics. That's our label. We love it. I hope you love it. And it is being drawn by me. And writing edits is also as well by me. We've got Wanpool. Issues 1 and 2 is in fulfillment right now. Troy is working on the side story Offspring, which will be released digital to all backers when it's done. And we are currently setting up print-on-demand availability for Wanpool for after the backing is all done. We've got Chicken Warrior also being developed by Smackin Kraken, and I don't know how much you want to say, Unvarnished, but little birdie tells me that you've started working on your own little something through Science Wizard as well.
Yes, I'm gonna do my own very first actual comic. I've done little web things, where it's just a few strips or whatever, but
Yeah.
I haven't really. I can see that I never thought that I could do a comic before like that, because again, with something that you mentioned earlier with how the mainstream comics were and their style, and I'm like, I just don't have that style. So I don't think I could do write comics or do that or draw them, since I don't have that style or anything. And then I felt like being part of Science Wizards comics and seeing you guys do your stuff and how some of it's not really in that style, but they're really good. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, and just seeing you guys do it and being part of everything, I'm like, I think I could do it.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you're finally at that point, because we've always believed that you've been able to do that. And I think that's something that I think is great about Science Wizard, is that we really do try to lift everybody up that's a part of it. We want people to be at their best, and we also, want them to explore, how they want to do something, because not every comic is going to look the same. And I think if every comic does look the same, if it all does have the exact same style, like that in-house style, I think it almost starts to get a little boring. That's why I want to see different styles. I want to see that cute, sexy style that Unvarnished is so good at. I want to see that that gritty, manga-esque style that you've got going on with Robert Boogie. The strange, classic comic manga cartoon amalgamation of Pineapple Pizza Man, and the very, I'm not really sure what kind of style I would say Wanpool is. It's not classic comic book, but it's it's its own kind of almost unique, almost designer-esque. But
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how to really describe it. But it's so unique, and I think that's
designer series.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but it's so unique. He obviously gets a lot of his style from his background in tattooing, and I think the drastic difference between all of our art styles is kind of what makes it so interesting. You want to see what's going to be next, and there's this other comic called Otis Stein. It's a drastically different style from almost every other comic book I've seen. You've got Tim Lim and Common America and Black Hops, and it's got that very manga 0.5, kind of inspired by Joe Mad kind of style. It's important to have different styles. I don't want everything to look the same. I like looking through my library of books and seeing this, wide variety. I think that's more exciting, personally.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's always exciting to see those new styles and just what somebody you would not have expected to see that kind of style come out of somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You see Wanpool, and you got this idea of, okay, there's Wanpool, that's with Science Wizard, so that's kind of the Science Wizard style. But then you've got Pineapple Pizza Man come out, it's drastically different, and you're just like, oh, okay. And you've got Chicken Warrior comes out, and that's drastically different from that. So it's, and then we've got Unvarnished. So we've just between the four of us, we've got quite the range of style, just with our first four kind of titles. But I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I think that sort of ends the stream in a sort of moral of the story kind of way. Wouldn't you say?
I think that's a good note to kind of I think that's a good high note.
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody who is watching the stream right now, anybody who is watching the stream later, be sure to check out Robert on Indiegogo. Links are in the description below. Check out Boogiebot Comics I believe it's at Boogiebot Comics, right? On Twitter?
Exactly. There you go.
At Boogiebot Comics on Twitter.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, pretty much everywhere at Boogiebot Comics.
Yeah, so type it in, you should be able to find it. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check out the TeePublic store. We got lots of great merch, including this awesome shirt right here, and that pillow back there, and this shirt right here. Lots of great stuff. Make sure to check out Unvarnished at Unvarnished Void on Twitter, and keep an eye out for news on her project that she has started developing through SWC Comics. All right, so thank you guys so much for coming. Boogiebot, thank you so much. It's been great talking to you, getting to know you, and I'm really looking forward to Robert and seeing how that goes.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was great to be here, and it was great to be on to speak to both of you. And yeah, it was just fun being here tonight.
Awesome, and Unvarnished.
Hearing about your comic. Yeah, I enjoyed being here. I enjoyed hearing about this comic. I liked looking at your style a lot. Like, I really like your art.
It's beautiful
Well,
stuff,
thank
man.
you so much.
And Unvarnished, thank you so much for coming on. It's so nice to have you on here for the first time. Hopefully not for the last time. Better not be.
Yeah, I'll probably come on again. It's just like I do like a radio show. That's just like a shooting the shit radio show.
Okay.
That's actually what it's called. It's called Shooting the Shit.
Oh.
And it's mostly just me and my drunk Scottish friend, and we just go over like articles and gaming stuff. And we do that for like 2 hours.
How-
It usually ends.
How the heck have you been part of SWC Comics the whole time it's been around, and you've never once told us about your stream? I didn't know about it. I'm literally learning about this right
I'm
now.
a secret identity.
What's your double life?
I am Unvarnished.
And actually, funny enough, my Scottish friend, my drunk Scottish friend that I do that with, he was a part of Gamergate. He was a part of Gamergate, like way back when.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he know about your comic alter ego? Does he know about your secret life?
Actually, I don't know.
Oh my god! You're living a double, triple, quadruple life. I thought we were friends! Martin!
I don't think about it.
How
I
could
just
you
never
do
really
it?
thought about it.
Oh my goodness, that's too funny. Alright, thanks again, guys. We're way over time, but I think we've covered all the bases. Robert looks great. You guys are great. Thanks so much for coming. Thank you to everybody who is watching, will watch later, and who, thank you, Monkey Platts, for the questions in the comments. Have a great night, guys. It was good. It was good times.